Good morning, just another short video from Sullivan.ie and Apoca-foundationseminars.org. One of the biggest in law of attraction and how we create our environment and how we create things is we believe we have to do something. We believe we have to control our thoughts very carefully and definitively and hold on to them with a really, really tight grip. And truly this is our head speaking. And we're in our head because we've been forced out of our bodies at some point. We've jumped out of our bodies and gone stratospheric. And our bodies are essentially sensory mechanisms. We're basically massive sensory organs. And our mind is truly in our body. Our body is our mind. And like an iceberg, as we've grown up and gone through the world, we've frozen in so many different experiences and different, not so much traumatic, but maybe traumatic, but just generally locked on to so many things that we haven't been able to deal with. And they all remain in our bodies as bubbles of energy. But what happens is then the feeling capacity and so much of our feeling energy gets bound up with holding on to these in repression until some point in time in the future when we can let them up or when we can simply thaw out. And if we've no idea how amazing we were built to feel, because most of us can't feel in the world that we live in and what we've grown up with. And part of effortfully going with law of attraction and making things happen is that your body's encoded with everything that you ever wanted. And when it's resonating, when you're feeling fully into your body's just sending out that signal, and it's effortlessly putting that signal out and matching up with other things, with what it wants, what it needs. And the difficulty with a lot of us is because we try and effort stuff, we have to effort because we aren't in our bodies. And 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when I studied deeply many areas, there would be days where I would feel like I just need to sit and stare at the wall, because I'd have taken in so much information, I'd have done so much internal work and body work, that the body was just like a massive computer processing, that it slowed down in order to process the amount of things that it was processing. But like clients that would come to me for trauma, when I'd release through revisiting and releasing a trauma within the body, I would say that they would feel exhausted maybe for 24 hours, or maybe feel like they'd been with a couple of rounds at Mike Tyson. But beyond that, the energy that was taken up, holding that repression down, would suddenly become released for life, and they'd experience a huge surge of energy. And so it is with us when we begin to feel. And the difficulty is that we're so driven with production and productive and creating and making things happen and the whole lot, is that we don't give ourselves and our bodies time. We feel if we were to sit and stare at the wall for 24 hours, or sit and stare at the wall for 24 or 12 hours, that we would be just gone to the dogs. But the payoff, when we can allow ourselves to start listening to our bodies and listening to what it is that we want, is that our bodies start to thaw, and the things that had been frozen into us start to lift, they start to rise. And it's by no means an instant process, but I suppose it's a lifetime process, but it's not in the same way. And the minute we start to do that, we start to realise and release a lot of the energy that's been bound up, holding these repressions within our bodies. And within that, a lot more energy becomes available for life. But our sensing organisms, which is our body, become free. And things start to come into our existence that couldn't before, because the sensing energy was frozen and we couldn't release it. And where I live here in Italy, there's a project that some people that I know are involved in, and it is a kindergarten school, but it goes right up to 13, where they take children and they run kindergartens in the forest. And it's an alternative to mainstream schools, where kids, it's a non-directive, non-authoritarian, non-competitive kind of a schooling, where kids are allowed to grow in an organic kind of a way and in a holistic way. And what I notice about what I've learned deeply in Italy is that the people who work with that are so in their bodies. They just never think of going up into their heads. And by that I mean they're so deeply peaceful. And when they meet you or they sit with you, they're deeply sit with you. And they have a deep, deep sense of peace and an intelligence that is not about their head, it's their body. Their body is resonating with this beautiful intelligence. It's like light dancing on water. And when you look into their eyes are bright and clear. There's a brightness in their eyes which is like something. It reminds me of the film Cocoon many years ago. And the brightness in their eyes is a vitality, and it's a life, and you see the life in them. And the participants in both one-to-one clients, where people will come to me for 3 to 4 or 5 days, specifically on a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 basis, or indeed in a seminar. And what is very noticeable afterwards is that the brightness in their eyes and the life and the light that's in their eyes. So begin to start noticing people around you and see if you can see the light and the life in their eyes. And I don't wear sunglasses here because through a lot of research, I've come to understand that the amount of frequencies and the information that we take in through light and through our eyes are the most incredible organs. So what is this video about? This video is about understanding that when we begin to give our bodies, our sensory organs, our real brain, which is our bodies, we begin to clear out, we begin to let the stuff lift off us, that effort and struggle hold, and that ease and being self-attentive release. We begin to bring an effortlessness into our bodies. We begin to become effortlessly intelligent. We know things that we shouldn't know, but we do know, simply because our bodies are picking up the frequencies. We become very at home in our bodies. And in a relationship point of view, what I've really, really deeply learned and understood here is that in order to be with people, deeply with people, and not be in our heads, fencing or beating around the bush or any of those kind of things, to sit with people deeply, really deeply, we need to be able to sit deeply with ourselves. And when you've sat with somebody, in any circumstances or in any, whether it's a social thing or a relationship thing or a therapy thing or a group thing, when you've sat with somebody that is deeply themselves and deeply in themselves, there's you come away with, it's like you're plugged into light, you're plugged into energy. The energy that is released from your body, being in proximity to these people, is most incredible. The seminar participants, one thing that's really, really noticeable about them is the brightness that comes back into their eyes. It's a life. And that they don't reference, some people say they don't even remember their own name. And simply because all of the life constructs that we live in are held at a certain frequency. And when you change your frequency, certain realities cease to exist. So 2 or 3 things in this video is really trust that the time that you take to release and to relax and to let go, even if your head is screaming that this is crazy or this is going to end in disaster or you shouldn't be doing this or you're lazy or you're doing nothing, know that that time invested in allowing that thawing to come up is the best time, that probably the biggest investment, the most high returning investment that you'll ever have. The awareness of the more deeper you go into your body, you can deeply be with yourself, deeply be with people, and that people feel, you begin to feel people, you begin to feel environments, you begin to feel into things, and you begin to understand things. Like in Phuket where the tsunami, the animals knew to go to high ground long before the tsunami hit. Why? Well, they didn't think about it, they didn't send an email, they didn't have to think or logic about it. Deep in their bodies they understood they needed to move to higher ground. And as human beings we understand that, we know these things intuitively and deeply within ourselves without ever referencing our heads. And the next thing is eyes. Start to notice the brightness in people's eyes, because that's the true test. It's the true test of the light. And when you get to a place where you have been through an Apoca seminar and you have done that clearing and realise the process within yourself, your eyes become bright. There's a brightness and a life and an energy that's noticed by everybody, it's noticed by you, and you begin to notice that light in other people's eyes, or perhaps the lack of light in people's eyes, or the dimness or the deadness in people's eyes. So for that, have an amazing day. I don't always plan these videos, they're often impromptu, depending on what's come up. I'm glad I had this opportunity to talk with you today. I hope it's been of some benefit to you in whatever changes you're looking to make in your life and whatever you're looking to bring about. and look forward to talking to you soon. Have a really nice day. Bye bye for now.